One very dreary morning, the rain was pelting hard onto the island. It seemed like it would never stop. It was loud and very wet outside. Most of the engines were still huddled in their sheds. None of them were really bothered by it, but Edward the Blue Engine was still feeling a bit glum. Reggaby, who was also in the sheds at the time, noticed Edward looked sad. "What's the matter with you, Edward?" Reggaby questioned. Nothing's wrong, Reggaby. I'm just feeling a bit under the weather, if you know what I mean. But in all seriousness, my repairs are taking longer than expected, and I don't know if I'll manage to take my first train on time today. It's a sign, Reggaby, Gordon bellowed indignantly. Edward is getting too old. He's falling apart. He always needs some sort of repairs or someone to fill in for him. He should just give up and be preserved before it's too late. I can take your first train, Edward. I shouldn't be too busy today. Thank you, Thomas. I really appreciate the help. No problem, Edward. You know you can always rely on me to help. Oh, and you, Gordon? I've said this once, and I'll say it again. You wouldn't know what hard work was, even if it bit you in the tender. Edward may be old, but he's still really reliable. He was running on these rails before you were even a sketch on a drawing board. Well, if you guys are done here, I think it's time I take my leave. As there's probably no shunters in the yards, I better go arrange my passenger train. Don't get struck by lightning. Oh, piss off, Thomas. Once the rain had stopped, the engines were working very hard, as tourist season had come, and many people flocked to the very famous island of Sodor. Many people had arrived to see the engines, and the engines couldn't be happier to see them. But pride comes before the fall. As soon, people started getting too close to the lines trying to get a good picture. The engines would usually just whistle to let them know they're there, but some had other ideas. None of the engines were happy about it, and it soon started becoming a very common problem. Even Ted the Radical Lorry wasn't happy. You would not believe the sights I saw today. This one man was trying to get a good picture of me at the station. He didn't even see Adam coming. He nearly hit the guy. Man, that is absolutely sick, but not in a good way. All these bloody children all over my spot, man. I need my dance floor to work it. Well, I haven't a clue what Ted said, but this actually is a problem. I nearly hit a guy on the crossing. I thankfully wished him out of the way. We need to do something about this. Maybe get the fat director involved, maybe call the cops. Whatever we do, we just need a solution to this mess. Me and the workmen have been clearing people's waste all afternoon. This is an absolute leak, man. We're due to do something about all these pop stars. Ten20 couldn't stay across for too long, and as he was traveling down the line, his spirits brightened. He saw some local boys playing in the streets. That also really pleased him. Ten20 was making good time, and it seemed like nothing else could go wrong. But that all soon changed when he approached the bridge. As he was going under it, he saw some local boys on it, and blew his whistle. Suddenly, with the loud sound of glass breaking, Ten20 quickly stopped. Instead of waving to Ten20 or taking down his number, the boys instead proceeded to throw sticks and stones at Ten20, breaking the coach's glass and hitting into Ten20's safety valve. The driver was also hit hard by one of the rocks, and he looked back up to the bridge to see if they were still there, but no, they quickly scampered off after throwing their stuff. Well, that's done it. I'm sorry, Ten20, but we can't go any further. Botheration, and we were going so well too. Blasted kids, where are their parents? Soon, help was called, and Holland arrived to take 1020 away. "1020 was patiently waiting in a siding. Holland had to leave him there as he was called away. And as he was waiting, he was accompanied by a big green engine. And now what's the matter with you, 1020? Everyone seems so upset today. I could never." 1020 explained what happened, and by the time he finished, Reggaby felt amused. "You expect me to believe you were won over by some plain children? That would never be me. It's hard to deal with kids who are nowadays as malicious as those trucks." "I bet I could deal with those kids. Nothing to it. I'll show you a good one, 1020. Just you watch and wait." "I send my regards to you, my good man. Let's see if you can deal with those stupid children." We need a plan. "Oh, what's the matter, Reggaby? I take it you lost the war against children. I am surprised. Don't patronize me right now. We must take action." "Well, Reggaby, while you were out fighting a war, I'd heard from the Yardmaster that you're supposed to take a goods train to Knapford Harbor. So, your point being?" 1020 grinned and explained the plan to Reggaby. So, after hearing 1020's plan, Reggaby made his way down the line, and it didn't take long to approach the bridge with the boys on it. And quickly, his fireman sprang into action and held out the shovel, and he threw the blocks of coal out of the shovel. It hit into the boys' faces, and they were very, very bruised. Later that evening, Reggaby and 1020 were telling the other engines what had happened, and not all of them were as pleased as they were. "Reggaby, I can't believe you actually did this! Throwing coal at kids! They're too young! They don't know any better! Oh, you do know we'll get a complaint from their parents." "Oh, come on, Winston. The little buggers deserved it. Two wrongs don't make a right, Reggaby. And that goes for you too, 1020. What the bloody hell are you thinking?" Now, Edward. Let's not get too hasty. Those brats deserved it if you ask me. They were asking for it the moment they started throwing rocks at 1020. "No, Thomas, but..." "Look, we're all tired, and I think we should just get some rest and talk about this tomorrow. Fresh mind, fresh new day. Now, good night." And soon enough, everyone drifted off to sleep. But that wouldn't last long. "Okay, you got the camera ready?" "Yep, I got it. We'll get some good pictures of the engines, and then we can sell them." "Okay, just make sure to turn the flash off so we don't wake them." "Isn't it kind of weird that we're taking pictures of them while they're asleep?" "Yeah, but we couldn't get any others today, so..." "This feels a bit wrong." "Of course it's wrong, you idiot. But we have no other options. We must do this and..." What the bloody hell was that? I have no fucking idea, 1020, but I know I'm not sleeping here again. What the hell was that? I haven't the slightest clue, Thomas. Okay, everyone calm down and take a deep breath. 1020, you were the first one to wake up. What did you see? Did you hear anything? I didn't really understand much. I only understood how they were gonna do something that was wrong, apparently, and the word picture, I don't know. Maybe they were trying to take a picture of us? A picture? A bloody picture? They wanted to take a picture of us? Oh my god. Thomas, calm down. Calm down, Edward, calm down. You're telling me to calm down. Oh, what are you saying, Edward? Oh, Lord. This is going to stir up some problems tomorrow, and I just know it. The next morning, when Edward woke up, he found that there was nobody at the sheds. Oh well, thought Edward, they must have left earlier than usual today. Edward didn't think much of it, but then the inspector arrived. The inspector approached Edward and started speaking to the old engine. Edward, he said, Thomas is nowhere to be found, and there's nobody to help in the yards, so could you cover for him until we can find him? Yeah, sure, no problem, said Edward, very sleepily. What Edward forgot, however, is that he had to have some extra maintenance done to him to tighten his brakes. Edward forgot this, and so did the inspector. Perfect, Edward. Once Thomas comes back, you can go about your regular duties. Yes, okay, sir. Perfect. I'll go inform your driver and fireman now. And the inspector walked away. When Edward's crew arrived, they steamed up their engine and set off to work. Later that afternoon, Edward was just still shunting in the yards. Thomas still hadn't come back. Just then, the inspector arrived again to talk to Edward's driver and fireman. They seemed to talk for ages, but finally, the inspector left. Edward questioned his driver on what they were talking about, and his driver only said, "We have to take a last-minute goods train. The engine who was supposed to take it broke down," and Edward left. Edward arrived at his destination, and after he dropped off his trucks, he picked up another train that was due for Knapford Harbor, and he puffed away. Everything was going well. Under Edward's jurisdiction, the trucks caused no problems. Until there was another engine heading on the same line as Edward. Edward was surprised and quickly applied his brakes, but he couldn't stop. The signalman noticed this and quickly switched the points. Edward went one way while the other engine went another. The crash between Edward and the visiting engine was avoided, but there was another problem. Edward now couldn't stop. The trucks took this opportunity and pushed them on and on. Edward put every ounce of weight and steam he had, but he couldn't. His faulty brakes wouldn't work. Edward soon gained control of the train again, and he was slowing down, but not fast enough, and he was heading straight for trouble. Edward splashed into a dirty pond. Edward was happy he stopped, but not where he stopped. He laid tender deep into the water. "Oh dear," Edward groaned. He was bruised and bemused. But that was not the cherry on top. Some people came over and started taking pictures of Edward in the pond. They were laughing at him. Edward felt very embarrassed. I'm really sorry this happened to you, Edward. I didn't think that I would have to clear up more messes. Oh well, this is the island of Sodor for you. Don't worry about it, Harwin. It's not your fault. Last time I take over someone's duties. Well, Edward, I have to go now. I have other duties to do. I wish I could stay longer. Bye! The next morning, Adam was backing into the yard to get a drink from the water column when he was pleasantly surprised to see Edward there. "Oh, hey Edward, what are you doing here? I thought you would still be laid up at the works after your accident yesterday." "I'm as surprised as you are. The workmen said I hadn't suffered any severe damages, so they finished me up this morning and here I am." "Well, I'm just happy you're here safe and sound. To hear that you, out of all engines, to have an accident. Hoo-wee, that really surprised all of us." I get that. I haven't had an accident in over a century. Still kind of shaken, but I'll get over it. Anyways, I think I should be going. I have a train to take soon and Edward. Why don't I take it? I mean, you've already suffered enough. Well, if you could do that, I would really appreciate it. And it would finally let me catch up on some sleep. My train is on track 4. The yardmaster will tell you everything else you need to know. Thanks for the advice, Edward. And Adam puffed away to collect the train. Oh my god, Ted, what are you playing at now? It's not my fault, man. These slippery slopers got me stuck on the crossing. Now I can't move along, man. So what am I supposed to do now? I have to go through, Ted. Dude, just go down a different path. I'll be out soon. Just don't know when. Fine. But don't call me your Jude. Adam was just reversing onto the main line to go down a different track, when suddenly he heard a whistle blaring behind him. "Oh no," Adam cried. He quickly jumped forwards to try and avoid the engine, but then there was trouble. He jerked his truck so hard that a loud crash of debris could be heard, but before he could look what it was, the engine was already coming down the line. And the brake van was still blocking the line! "Oh no!" Adam cried, and he watched in horror as it happened. The brake van was completely destroyed. Adam felt very annoyed at this. "Oh, botheration!" he cried out loud. What am I going to do now without a brake van? Can't you go without it, man? No, I can't, Ted. It's dangerous. And I've just come to the dark realization that some of the paint cans on my flatbed fell off. Oh! Now, you may think that this story doesn't have a happy ending, but it does. In the following weeks, accident rates started to plummet severely, and people who visited the island of Sodor became more careful around the railway. And that was exactly how the engines liked it.